Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Leo April 2023 Illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. So, hi, everyone, and welcome. We are going to be taking a look today at the energies for the month ahead. So for April, and we're going to be looking at first what you're bringing to the table in April, Leo, what's going on around you environmentally, and then we're going to be looking at a block or a challenge that's going to be coming up, advice from Spirit as to how to overcome it, and then what you're going to benefit from in doing so, or an opportunity that wants to come in for you when you kind of free yourself out of this blocked energetic cycle or just blocked energy. All right, Leo, so let's jump in right now and take a look at what you're bringing to the table. So I just wanted to say, sometimes when I am getting into the energy of a sign before I start the reading, I can sometimes hear things, I can sometimes see things. And for you specifically, a very clear message of, I don't know if all of you know what this is, but I think we've seen it a lot, maybe just on television as kind of something that we'd see on the desk of maybe a executive in an office setting or corporate setting. And it's one of those little things that is kind of meant to be almost like something to do when you're bored, where it's a bunch of strings hanging down from a bar and they all contain these little metal balls at the bottom. And then you go ahead and you pull one up, let it fall, and as it hits through the balls, another one kind of bounces off to the side, and they kind of go back and forth and back and forth. It's a transfer of energy. But I clearly felt like there was a level of boredom coming through, Leo, for many of you. Like this feeling of, I'm just going to sit here and play with this thing on my desk and just watch it go back and forth because there's nothing more for me to do here, or I'm waiting for something else to come in. So I don't know if that will show up in your reading or if that resonates with you right now, but it is what came through very clearly. So I just thought I'd share that. All right. So what you're bringing to the table, Leo, is the Four of Wands. And then we have the Magician in your environment this month, which is really positive. This actually came up for your sister sign of Aquarius as well. And I wouldn't say sister sign, your opposing sign. So it's your natural seventh. It's the opposite sign on the Zodiac wheel from you. So it shows that somehow Aquarius and you, the energy is linked, but how you express it is going to be different. So for those of you who do have an Aquarius placement, or perhaps you're dealing with an Aquarius in your life, you might want to go ahead and check out that reading, probably to see the other side of this message. So Four of Wands is a very positive energy as well. The Four of Wands is the energy of a chance where you get to stop and you get to celebrate how far you've come based on the actions you've taken towards building the foundation for something. This can sometimes be seen as the card of marriage or a card of starting that home or family and having that solid foundation. It's something that not only can you celebrate, but you can share that celebration with others. So for many of you, you might be sitting in this energy of kind of evaluating how far you've come. What is that foundation you've built? Is it that you've recently gotten married? Is it that you've started a family? Is it that sometimes this could even be the foundation for a certain level of knowledge. Maybe you've just graduated from college, or you have just graduated from maybe moving up in your career path. But with the Magician coming in the external environment, this is one of a very, what I would like to call, fertile environment around you. This is one where there maybe people coming in who might be able to kind of show you a different way. Maybe now that you have this foundation, there might be something that you can then start to add or build on this foundation, where to take action. It also can state that there might be these moments throughout the month of this kind of aha, like, hey, I could maybe use this in a different way, because the Magician has all of the elements in front of him. He's got his thoughts or his mind. He's got the tangible. He has his cup of emotions. He has his wand of passion. But there's something here where you might be able to see something differently, like be like, oh, I can apply a little bit of this in the physical, or I never thought of it like that. I'm going to use my thoughts in a different way. Now, looking at kind of the recent past moving up to the present, In the recent past, you have the Ace of Wands, and this is that fresh inspiration. This is kind of like that idea that comes in out of nowhere, something that kind of lights your flame or catches your attention, and there's suddenly this wellspring of passion that comes through. This could be where, for some of you, this could be that you actually had a child. There's something here around, the conception of a child. This could be where maybe you got back in touch with a hobby that you had, lost track of in the past, or something comes in now in the future, or in the present moment. I mean, this could be like you never thought you'd love to rock climb, but because a buddy invited you out and you went and did it, you were like, oh my God, I haven't felt this energized in a long time. I really want to get into it. This seems wonderful. And then boom, the Eight of Swords comes in. And the Eight of Swords is where we tell ourselves from a mental place, I can't see how I can do this. I can't see how I can, this would be like coming back from that awesome day mountain climbing or rock climbing with your buddy. And you're so jazzed and you're like, yeah, I'm going to join a rock climbing gym. I'm going to go online and find all of the stuff to, all the gear. And then you realize, wait a second, I work a job that requires me to be on call, 60 hours a week. When am I going to have the time to actually go to the gym? The gym's hours are within my working day, and I can't take time to go do that, or I don't have the time to go travel off site to go with my buddy again on his next mountain climbing adventure. And suddenly we find ourselves in this place with this, all of a sudden, this bubbling up of excitement and passion. And then we're like, oh, but I can't do anything with it. This could be for some of you too, or maybe you recently did have a child and you don't know how you're going to fit that into your life. You don't know how you're going to fit spending time with your newly growing family, or finding the time to actually maybe commit to the partnership or the marriage or something along those lines. But what's beautiful is that this month, your present energy is one of fact-finding. The Page of Swords is the individual who's curious. They want to learn more. They want to know more. And so I think for many of you, you might have been sitting with this kind of stuck energy for a while. Like, I don't see how I can do this. And this month will be one where I think you're a little bit more open suddenly. There might be, again, somebody that comes in, or an idea, something crosses your path, and you're like, wait a second. Never thought about it like that. Or wait a second, I never realized that if I just shift this over here, well, suddenly I'm making room for that Ace of Wands. Now, when we think of the Four of Wands, we think about leveling up, taking the Ace of Wands to the Four of Wands. For some of you, this might be wanting to build a foundation around this Ace of Wands, and you're not quite sure how to do it. This could be like a new business idea comes in, and you're like, wow, I really want to build something on that. And you're like, but wait, I can't, because I'm still stuck at my 9-to-5 job. I don't have time. And this is saying, well, you know what? Let me just stop and think about it. Let me just start to go out there and do some research and see. So there's a moving past this kind of blind, I can't, which is very positive energy, especially when we're coming into a month that really focuses on there's magic around you. There's a very fertile environment waiting to kind of help show you the way. This could also be too where you might already have this firm foundation, but this new ace has come in. This new, again, it could be something out of left field. It could be that you want to start rock climbing, or it could be that you have a child to add now to the home. But that takes it from the when we think about applying the Ace of Wands to the Four of Wands, that takes it to the Five of Wands. And that can be where we feel like there's a little bit of chaos, because the fives are a number of, or the five in numerology speaks to change. Now, the fives in the tarot tend to speak to that as well, but they can show kind of what happens when we get to that point of change. We can create chaos, we can push it away and kind of fight against it, we can accept it, but feel that others are going to turn their back on us. There's all these kinds of things that come in with that number five of kind of the number five really harnesses the energy of fear, but also the growth that comes when we can push past that fear. So the Five of Wands specifically speaks to competition as well. It can be healthy competition. So for some of you, this could actually be where you want to build on a foundation of knowledge, a foundation of work experience, where you want to level up in your home life, but you don't know, the fear point is, but if I do act on this inspiration and I do try to now add to my already stable foundation, it might get a little chaotic. It might mean that I have to get out there and put myself out there on the open market or get competitive. This could be like where you maybe want to level up in your work experience, or let's say this is like, you know what, I want a bigger house. I built the house, I built the foundation, everything's been going great. But then there was like this aha moment of like, oh my God, I want the farm. I want the land. I want the home with the fancy kitchen that I don't have now, something along those lines. And you're like, but there's no way. I can't sit there and I can't afford that. I put everything I had into this. And if I try to go for that, it's going to make this chaotic. It's going to stir all this up, and it might make my romantic partner question, what the heck am I talking about? It might mean that I have to go back out there into the world of real estate and compete for the different places, something along that line. And there's that fear, but you guys I think at this point now, in April, there's going to be this kind of almost like starting to see the light, starting to see the way that it's not all just a hard and fast, no, you can't follow this. It's let's see how I can do this. So it's positive. It's really, really positive here, Leo. Okay. And keep in mind, again, the Four of Wands is a great energy to have. This does show that you have to be proud of how far you've come to this point, to be proud of what you've built that is now a stable foundation. Okay, it's funny. I think, there's the Five of Wands sneaking in. We'll see if it comes up. I have a feeling that might come out prominently in this reading for you guys. Now, I'm going to be honest. This is the second time I'm filming a reading for you. I did a reading last week, hoping to kind of get ahead, and it came through so muddled and so strange. And I had just a weird feeling about it that I deleted it. So this is by far the real reading you guys needed. And here's the Ace of Wands again. So this is your main point of challenge. It's facing this burgeoning feeling of inspiration that's coming back in. This is creativity. The Ace of Wands is the wellspring of our own creative abilities, our own passion. I love it. You have the Ace of Cups at the heart of your reading as well. A lot of aces. It's a lot of fresh start energy. And in between, the Princess of Swords in this deck is technically the Page of Swords. So you pretty much have this repeated right here. There's that feeling of, okay, I'm feeling that fire. I'm feeling like, ooh, my creativity is coming out again. My interest is piqued, meaning that I'm not just sitting there bouncing the balls back and forth on my desk. Something has come through to change things up a bit. Now, with the Page of Swords coming in on the other side of this, it's like it's time to start to gather more information, to be curious about what you can do with this new inspiration, what you can do with this new part of yourself, and how you can add it to a foundation you already have. So this could be like, for some of you, if let's say this is, you're adding a child to your the home life you've recently created. Well, then this might be, okay, well, let's see how we can change up our day-to-day routine. Maybe I can ask my work if I can work remotely from home 2 to 3 days a week instead of going into the office. And that can allow me to be in the house with my new child. Or maybe, we can change up our schedule and, what we do on the weekends. Or there's always going to be something that comes in that we can do. But it starts with being curious. This could also be where all of a sudden you want to level up on a skill set. Now it's like, okay, I obtain this knowledge. Now I want to go out into the wider employment pool, and I want to be able to, this could be like where, okay, you got the foundation to be, let's just say, I don't know. I'm trying to pick something basic. You got the foundation to become a graphic designer. Okay, and you went and you got your education in that, and you started to go out there and do it. But suddenly now, you maybe tried to dabble a little bit, or somebody said, hey, have you thought about doing this kind of working with this program, this computer-based program to work specifically with making design for video games or computer games? And it's like, oh my God, this was so much fun. I got lost in and out of time doing this. I spent 10 hours just sitting there going over this, and it was so exciting. And it was like, oh my gosh, I haven't felt that kind of creative fire in a long time. And suddenly now you're like, how can I take what I've already have? How can I take my knowledge, take maybe this degree I have, this little bit of experience I have being a graphic designer, and how can I start to take this new program I've been working with and somehow find a way for me to either integrate that into my current experience. Maybe I need to take a training course on that specifically to get into a niche market. Do I need to start going out there and just asking people in my industry, where can I apply where I could start at the bottom to do this kind of work? There's something around that about starting to really go out there and say, I really like doing this. What can I do with this? Can somebody make a living from doing this? If I add this into the bigger picture, can I actually, does my current foundation support bringing this in or support following this? And with the Ace of Cups coming in at the heart of your reading, this is where Spirit's asking you to really embrace the energy of love, of fresh connection to the self. That's what Ace of Cups can really be. It's a fresh connection to your own spirit, to your soul. So you have a connection to your own eternal flame and your own soul. And this is saying, what fills your cup? If you look within and you really are honest with yourself, your needs, the needs that you need to have met to feel emotionally connected to this life experience, what is that? What are those needs? It's almost like looking at, what does this Ace of Wands bring out that is truly in alignment with your soul? It doesn't have to be that this has to be like some major, has some major overarching purpose or meaning. It could be something as simple as, you went out there to do rock climbing and you realized, oh my gosh, I love that it challenges me both mentally and physically. And I haven't done something that's challenged me on both of those levels in a long time, or maybe ever. And I realize that somehow that fills a deep need within me. I need to be challenged physically and mentally at the same time. And it's like, okay, I get it. I get that that's what it is. So now how do I start to go out there and find information as to how I can start to take that part of myself and start to use this flame within to continue to keep putting pieces of timber on that. Now, when we get on the other side of this, we have the Nine of Wands, which is ironic because when you think about it, what started first with one wand, as you start to take, points of action, which are the additional wands, we can get to the point where it's Nine of Wands. Now, at that point, we've taken something that at one point felt like a flame, and we've kind of kept putting wood on the fire, and it could be this blaze. Now, when the Nine of Wands comes in, this can actually be where sometimes that blaze has gotten so hot it's burned us. We're exhausted. We're like, it's too much. We've taken too much action towards it. We've focused too much on it, and we can be at that point of burnout. And I think for many of you, and you can see your own sign coming through. This is a card of Leo. It's a card to have the courage to keep going. And for some of you, there may be that, because I get with the Nine of Wands and the Ten of Swords, there is a facing of a past here. Something in the past that burned you out, that you tried and tried and tried and tried. It started at one point with the flame of passion, and you worked towards making it and building it, and it led to a breakdown. It led to something that brought you to your knees, which is the Ten of Swords. It's that point where it's just like, ugh, it didn't work out. I had to walk away from it. And this can be in all areas of our life. It could be that this is the flame of passion between you and another individual, and you tried to build this amazing home and life and everything, and it all ended in you being burned out and you having to walk away from that relationship. Or it could be in the work environment that you started with this little seed of inspiration, again, a little flame of inspiration, and you followed it, and it was so fun at one point, and then that flame just becomes burnout. Then it's like, what I used to love doing, I don't love doing it anymore. It's a slog, and that could be a breaking point. We can all get to a point in our life where work gets to be too much for us, and we have to walk away from it. But there's a new start, a new cycle beginning here. Now, granted, we are at a point where for many of us, no matter whether you're a Leo or not, or have Leo in your prominent in your birth chart placements, we are all facing a new kind of birth or dawn of a new era for each one of us individually, as well as our collective experience. But for you, I get this feeling that there is kind of a revisiting of a time you tried to follow something you were passionate about and it didn't work out. And a time where now you've come quite a ways from that. You've built a major foundation and you're stable and you're set up. But now there's that flame coming back in, and you're like, no, I don't know if I can do it again. It might lead to this. And this is saying with the Ace of Cups, the heart, it's time to love yourself. Spirit, the universe loves you. But what you learned somewhere in that past that brought you to this point was that you didn't honor your needs. You didn't honor what was in your cup. You didn't honor the dream within. And you allowed yourself instead to just focus solely on taking action, not stopping kind of at each point to say, how do I feel about this? You're like, I'm just going to push through and keep going. This is like the person who gets into the relationship, and then maybe they're fighting with their significant other, but they're like, you know what, well, let's just move in together and see what happens. Okay. Let's just keep this, the cart and the horse going forward. So they move in, and then it doesn't get better. It kind of just stabilizes maybe, but they're still fighting. It's still not great. And like, you know what, let's just get married. I think that's what it is. Let's just get married. And then you get married, and then it's not, it's like one of those things where it's like, you just kind of kept chugging along and going and not checking back in with, well, wait, is this actually on a day-to-day basis fulfilling to me? And I think that that's going to be where the answer comes in here with this kind of fact-finding, curious perspective is, how can I do something a little differently this time around? How can I follow a passion, and how can I integrate it into a foundation I have? This could even be like, how do I bring passion back into my home life? How do I bring fun into my work life? How can I energize something I already have that maybe I don't want to walk away from, but how do I bring the passion back in? And this is saying by taking a look at where you lost it to begin with in a previous round. And that's going to be, I think, the key to unlocking this whole situation for you guys. Now, at the bottom, we have death. So this is a major transformation for you guys. That old version of yourself is done. It's finito. When death comes in, it's past. That's the 10 of Swords, this individual. This part of you that went through that part of you is gone. What you came forward with was the illumination, as you can see here, that as you were being stabbed by all of these swords, one pierced through, and that was the clarity you needed. And this is saying it's time to move on from that cycle, because there's a time of magic now for you guys to really step into, to do it differently. But to add the spark back to whatever this is here for you guys. And there might be an opportunity to do that. That could be like saying, hey, I love rock climbing. I'm going to express this to my partner, and I'm going to see if we can maybe do it together, because we really need to kind of get ourselves back on that, we've gotten into a rut, and this is now how we're going to get out of the rut. Or same thing with work, that I need to bring in this fresh energy into my work so that I have a new focus, so that I have a forward growing vision, instead of just kind of doing the same thing day to day. Okay, so now I'm going to pull some clarifiers. We're going to get a little deeper into into what we see here. So let's see about this Ace of Wands. Let's get a little more information about what this Ace of Wands is and why is it a block. Nine of Cups. And we had, that's interesting. So we have the Three of Cups that came, sorry. I don't know why I can't talk all of a sudden. That came out, not upright, but upside down. And I don't put reversals in this deck. So when it comes up, I like to really bring that up here. I think for many of you, there's actually this inspiration, this kind of like aha moment, is that you have a lot to be grateful for, and yet you haven't been sharing it with others. You know, this can be where you have built this foundation, and yet maybe you don't have that, soul tribe. You don't have that friend group. You don't have that family support or that best friend that you can go out there and say, oh my gosh, look at all that I've built. Look at, look at what I'm passionate about. This could be like where all of a sudden, yeah, you do want to, or maybe you had a child, but you want to share it with other people. You want to share this abundance. The Nine of Cups is that true abundance on an emotional level, but yet with the Three of Cups reversed, there's this point of like, but I want to share it. I want to celebrate it, but I don't have anybody to celebrate it with. This could be the same thing with all of a sudden you want to get into rock climbing, but maybe there's nobody that rock climbs. And you're like, I really want to share this with somebody. I love this. It fills my cup. It's exciting. It's, and it's very interesting coming through here like that with the Three of Cups reversed. And it could be just in that realization alone, Leo, that you're like, it's time for me to find my tribe. It's time for me to find my lion pack. When you think about lions, they have their pride. And part of that pride is in sharing themselves with that pride. So we have here's Death. Yeah. Princess of Swords or the Page of Swords coming in, clarified by Death again. So that really does say it's time for you to go out there and see what part of yourself is done, what part of yourself, and going through that past cycle where you were brought to your knees, what part of yourself was released? Was it a naive part of yourself? Was it a part of yourself that was self-sacrificing? Was it a part of yourself that, again, you denied your own feelings? And maybe you did the same. Maybe that's why you withdrew a little bit, because you just you weren't emotionally strong enough to share yourself authentically, or maybe you shared yourself too much in a relationship or a work environment. And so you've held yourself back from getting emotionally committed again. And this is saying it's time for you to see what within your life has passed away and how has it been transformed. What really needs to be released. And sometimes we can go through this whole process of, so looking forward to focusing on building something that we don't realize how, and moving away from one thing and moving towards another to build it, that another part of us has, we've changed, we've grown. Yeah, Seven of Swords. Yep. This is a card of avoidance. There's an avoidance of something in your life that needs to be let go of. Whether this is a version of yourself that you tie specifically back to a workplace, whether this is a version of yourself that you tie specifically back to a past relationship. This is something around a way of being that has long kind of held you back from feeling like you are free to follow what lights your fire. So let's see about this Ace of Cups. For some of you, this inspiration could simply be that you just have a ton of abundance in your life on an emotional level, and you want to share it with others. You want to go out there and have fun and say, like, look at this foundation. This would be like working so hard to build a home life, and you built a wonderful home and you have a wonderful family, and yet you look around and you have yet to go out and make, friends. And you have nobody to share that with. You're like, I would love to invite people over to my house, but I don't know anybody to invite over to my house. And I don't see how I can do that. I don't see how how am I going to meet people? And then this comes in the page of swords. How am I going to meet people? And how am I going to realize that, maybe I had to release a previous friend group because I've moved. I'm in a new location. So how can I just release that friend group and join the community that I'm in here? Now with Ace of Cups, we have the Four of Coins, which is the Four of Pentacles, and the Six of Cups. The Four of Coins is where we are holding on to what little that we have, the stability. We know that there needs to be, we know that we need to invest in something. We know we need to do something, but we're kind of just clinging. This is like, okay, well, this is all I have. I've gotten to this point. There's somewhat of a level of stability. But with the Six of Cups coming in, this is a return to the past. There's something here with the 4 and the 6 of, I think for some of you, there's getting a gift from the past of maybe, again, what didn't go right, how something didn't happen the way that you wanted, that could be leading you now to kind of cling a little bit in the physical or the financial world because of something that happened in the past. And so there's this feeling of like, I want to reconnect with that past version of myself. I want to invest in that person I used to be. Or it could be something as simple as the gift from the past is how to be more financially stable. We have the Four of Wands and the Four of Coins here. It's okay. How can we build on that foundation in a responsible way that maybe now you get to learn from that past cycle you hadn't done before? Whew, there's a lot for the Nine of Wands. Yeah, we have the Eight of Wands, we have the Chariot, we have the Eight of Cups, and we have the Magician. Okay. This and this. Eight of Cups and the Magician, Eight of Wands and the Chariot. This is fast forward momentum. This is like all of a sudden, all this stuff came in, crazy town, Chariot, moving towards your ultimate destination, what feels like home. It's almost like this came in all at once. Boom. You had to move. You had to level up in some way. This could be, and I'm going to relate this directly to my experience, in between 2020 and 2022. So 2021 specifically was a crazy year for me and my family. I moved across the country. I bought a house with my significant other. We got married, we had a child, and we lived in a totally different geographic location than even where I first originally moved to the East Coast. So all of this stuff happened really, really fast, but it was like, oh my God, we got to stop and take a breath. Because then there's the Eight of Cups and the Magician. We're suddenly now, with the Nine of Wands coming in after all this movement, there's a certain level of burnout that's happened based on all of that movement that came through. And this could be for you guys that, maybe, again, there was a lot of building going on here. Suddenly there's this new inspiration. Suddenly you're a new version of yourself. And you kind of look up all of a sudden, you're like, oh my God, there's been so much change, so much movement, but I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. And here with the Eight of Cups and the Magician, this is saying there's something here that you need to walk away from that's no longer emotionally fulfilling. This is bringing you back to that time when you probably were not in tune with your own emotions. You were not in tune with meeting your own needs. You weren't in tune with, this could be where we, put ourselves into work and we just work. And we have all the excuses as to why we just need to put our head down and work, even though we don't love the job anymore, or it emotionally is, straining to us. And then the Magician comes in and says, now for very, very few of you, I'm just going to state this could be a very specific message. There was a need to walk away from a Gemini in your life. So this could be that you've put a ton of effort into building a relationship with a past Gemini and it didn't work out and you had to walk away from that and it was really difficult. Or the Magician can also be someone who can be manipulative, because they can actually manipulate the elements. So this is someone who would, maybe it could be a manipulative boss. It could be a manipulative family member even. It could be a manipulative romantic partner. So for some of you, that's what this Nine of Wands is tied up in, the burnout around that past effort. Was it, fast movement towards a career path and a job, and suddenly you were working for someone who was just, emotionally abusive or manipulating you, and you had to walk away from that? Was this a relationship, a romantic relationship where that happened? And in a way, the two magicians here are mirroring each other, that in having to walk away from that type of individual, you might have either become manipulative yourself. Sometimes we have to do that to protect ourselves. Or you might have dampened your own magic because you kind of had to, push that down and get out. And that can be difficult, and that can lead to this, the Ten of Swords, which... The Knight of Swords, yeah, there's a truth around that. The Knight of Swords is an individual who's going to be very blunt in their communication. This could be where you had to share something. This would be like where you're like, I have to leave and I have to quit today. Or this could be where your boss comes in and just says, well, you're not doing a great job, so sorry, I'm firing you. Or where your significant other says this isn't working out. Or where you told your significant other, I have to, it's time for that divorce. And yeah, the moon coming in, when that piece of information was shared, the way was unclear. That's what the moon says. The moon says you went out there into the unknown. You didn't know what was going to happen. Now, for those of you where this is not revisiting the past, and this is something that you might be going through right now, this could be where it's time to kind of face that truth around something, that a relationship that has unfortunately died. And I'm not saying that has to mean that the person is physically dead. It means that that relationship is no more. That spark that was once there is gone. It could be professionally as well. And that now there's this realization of, I have to share that I have to walk away from this. It's not working out for me. Something along those lines, where you could be going through this at the present moment, and this is all to better unlock the magician within. Now, for those of you where this is in the past, this is stating very clearly, you went through that, you learned the lessons, you understand very clearly what, in having to face that then, that, yeah, you went through, murkiness. You didn't know what was going to be on the other side. You didn't know that when you said, it's time for a divorce, you didn't know if you were ever going to meet another individual. You didn't know that when you walked away from that job, if you would ever have another job again, or if you would ever work, in that field again. There's something along those lines. And this is saying, it's all coming back full circle, stating you've learned your lesson. It's time to make peace with the past. That's what the Six of Cups can also speak to. Making peace with the past, loving the process of what happened, understanding now that you've gained a skill set, understand now that you are someone who can build firm foundations with the Four of Wands and the Four of Pentacles. And now that you know that about yourself, what are you going to realize has to be released? And what are you going to realize now needs to be tapped into, so that you can really bring whatever passion you had to walk away from previously or tamp down? How can you bring that forward now into your current experience? Because you're not going to be the same person that prevented yourself from originally following a passion. You're going to be the person now who knows the importance of following that, of feeding that flame, of being responsible and working towards the goals that you want to meet. And you know what you've gone through. Now we have at the bottom of the deck the Ace of Swords, clarity, truth, a new perspective on who you are. And I love that. I mean, this is when you go through the Ten of Swords, this is the next card after that. It is that individual then gets to shake off those 10 swords. They realize they've survived it. And then they get to pick up one sword. And it's the sword of truth and clarity of what they learned about themselves and what they learned they're capable of surviving. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead. For some of you too, with this Nine of Cups and the Three of Cups reversed, this could be where you're afraid to really share with others your joy, your inner joy of what you are so thankful for. Like where you're afraid because maybe in the past you had shared it and and it didn't work out, and people were like, oh man, like, watched you fall on your face. or where those people turn their back on you, after you were out of that situation. And this is saying, no, no, no. It's time to lean into what you love. It's time to lean in to that and to share it openly with others. So we have anxiety, number 18, breaking down to the number 9. Anxiety. Let's get a little deeper into this. This is additional messages from Spirit. So for many of you, there's a lot of worry around this. There's a lot of worry that something isn't going to work out the way something might work out the way it did before. And this is saying, no, it's not. You have support this time around, Leo. You are stronger. You simply have more. Here's the 10 of Pentacles. I love that coming in. For some of you, for those of you who are going through this right now, this very difficult time where you have to walk away from something that took a lot of time and energy and forward momentum, and you thought it was going to go somewhere and then it didn't. This is stating that you might have anxiety over this, overstating the truth around, what's not working, and that you have to walk away from it. But ultimately, what Spirit's asking you to do is keep in mind, what is your 10 of Pentacles? What ultimately is that legacy you want to achieve in the physical for yourself, and to keep your eye on that as you move through the unknown. For those of you where you've already gone through this lesson, you're kind of being faced again and you're afraid, there's the anxiety coming in of, if I try to do something different, if I try to integrate this new passion, if I try to follow this new relationship, what's going to happen? And this is saying, keep your eye on the prize. Whatever you had your eye towards here where this wasn't working out, stating it's the same thing here. So just keep your eye on what that 10 of Pentacles is for yourself. And then we have the 6 of Cups. Make peace with whatever you've lost in the past. That's what the 6 of Cups keeps coming in. Make peace with that. Make peace with you might have lost a previous 10 of Pentacles, but you get now to build it again. And with the 4 of Coins coming in, you have a firm foundation to do that. Okay, now I'm going to pull the Power of Surrender card. And then very similar to Aquarius, I'm also going to pull one of the Lightworker Oracle cards too, because I feel like you guys need it. So it says, surrender your attachment to results. The formula for success is to do all you can to make things happen, then let go of the results. Holding on too tightly to a desired outcome can sabotage it. And I like this because, again, there's a start of something here. And the Page of Swords is also the starting energy of that fact, the curious individual who just wants to know more. And sometimes we can get too lost in what didn't work out in the past, where we start to overthink that, and we're like, but if I want to go towards this, well then what if it doesn't come out exactly the way that I see my 10 of Pentacles being? And this is saying everything happens in its own time. But also we have to understand that all we can do is continue to, feed our passion, to meet our needs, to every day in the present emotionally connect to our experience, and also keep working towards what we ultimately want to feel. But how that might manifest might be very different than what you originally wanted. And I can tell you that from my own personal experience, that is exactly what I've experienced in my own life, where I thought I was working towards one thing, and lo and behold, Spirit steps in and manifests it in a way that is greater and grander than I could have ever imagined. So I had to kind of just step back and say, well, even though it's not happening exactly the way that I had anticipated, I have faith that this will come to be. Okay, I'll just get one card here. We'll see. And that jumped right on top of the Ace of Swords. Let's see what that clarity is. There you are, Leo. I love it. King of Wands. The clarity is that you are the King of Wands, that you have rediscovered yourself. That's the clarity here. You are that fiery CEO. You are the individual who went through the fire, literally, and came out unburned. You're the phoenix rising from the ashes. I mean, the King of Wands, look at him. He is proud. He knows how to work with his passion. He holds his staff responsibly, and he leads his kingdom holding that passion. He's not consumed by that passion. He's not blocked by that passion. He lives from that passion. For many of you, or this is about maybe trying to move towards being a business owner. This is saying you have become the ideal business owner and going through your previous failures. This can also be if you want to, be a master in the home life. This can say you have become a master of the home and going through your previous failures. And now the clarity is the discovery of yourself, of the part of you that has mastered working with what lights your fire. Okay, we'll pull a final card here to see what final message wants to come in for you, Leo. And I will go ahead and read the small excerpt that comes in the book with this. What's a final message for Leo here? Oh my gosh, this is the same card that Aquarius got. Very interesting. Yeah, you might have a lot of Aquarian energy or have been working with Aquarius. Okay, so let's see here. Or you guys just could be going through the same learning curve at the same time. So number 12, eternal now. It says, within you is great strength and courage. However, just because you can manage to keep going when you are drained or stressed, it doesn't mean you have to do so. You are encouraged by your higher guidance to request assistance and letting go of tension within your mind and body. You will gain energy through this release and perhaps even see things in a new and more optimistic light. Shifting into a more present, relaxed, and enjoyable state of being will help you overcome the past and successfully create your future. And that really is leaning into the new inspiration versus leaning into the burnout that is coming here with the Nine of Wands. It says, dear one, have your thoughts become trapped in the pain of the past? Have they been drifting towards possible futures? If too much of your energy is pulled away from the present moment, you diminish the power you have to create what your heart desires. Creation doesn't happen in the past or in the future. It happens in the here and now by the choices you make in each moment. Even now, in reading this message, you are choosing to be present, to bring your energy into the eternal now, stimulating the law of attraction into action. As you relax in this moment, trusting that the past is over and the future shall be truly wonderful, you can more easily energize your dreams, visions, and heartfelt desires. I love that. There's a leaning into the passion here. And this could, it's interesting. I'm just going to state this out there, share this because my husband is a Leo. My daughter is actually as well, Leo's son. My husband recently started to kind of get into the world of baking, which he has, I don't think, ever done. And I think it was because he needed that creative outlet. He needed that connection to the present moment of doing something that was different, that kind of lit this spark, but that also in doing so allows him to engage in the family with that present moment, with our daughter, with me, and it's something that we can all kind of share and enjoy together. And it takes him away from just him, working his 9 to 5 that he's been doing for a long time, or just doing the basic household chores. It's bringing that spark back in, of realizing that when we weave that little bit of our wand into the magic, that is weaving the magic into the tapestry of every day. And it's in those small things when we actually do allow ourselves to really embrace what we're happy with in our life, and we just feel it with the 9 of Cups, when we find the people to share it with. That's where the true abundance comes in, and that's what actually draws towards us the true result, that feeling of what is that 10 of Pentacles for us? What do we want? What does it make us feel when we think about achieving that ultimate vision for ourselves? And when we can start to weave that feeling even into the moments where we don't have that yet, that's the true King of Wands. That's someone who lives with their passions every day. And that is the individual that builds the legacy, that builds the empire. All right, I'm going to leave it there, Leo. I hope you all have a wonderful April. If you'd like to have little weekly messages just to kind of have an extra little something to take a look at the energy for the week ahead. I do post mini readings. I call them my tarot bite readings. A little play on words there that I think is fun. If you'd like to see those, I am posting them each week with the exception of next week because I will be on vacation visiting my family at home in San Diego. So, but after that, you should see them come in for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th week of April. All right, everyone, have a wonderful month ahead, and I look forward to reading for you again in next month's Illumination reading. Bye, Leo.